Hello, in this video we're going to be talking about muscles of the lower limb, top half. So let's not waste any of your time. Let's get right to it. Now, as we talk about muscles of the lower limb, top half, and of course we're talking about above the knee in this case. So one of the things that we're really going to emphasize is, just like with the chest and the arms, we saw that there are not only a lot of strands of muscles. It's not just one big muscle. It's several strands of muscles working together to form the muscle, different compartments as we've seen, but also the depth. So it's not just layers across, it's layers also deep that we want to focus on. We're going to see a lot of that here in the leg, especially in the upper half with those big muscles. As it says there, that's the largest as far as volume. The largest muscles, obviously your quads, some of the bigger, stronger muscles, and certainly prominent up front and everything. So that's what we're going to be looking at. And as it mentions here, I mean, these are more about strength and holding you up and giving the kind of driving force for a lot of the work that we need to try to do or try to do. Alright, so taking a look at our first model here, one of the takeaways that we want to get from this, and we'll see this again, Crowder's got a great model of the leg that we'll bring over that really just kind of showcases the attachments and the length and the thickness of everything. But obviously one of the things that just should jump out at you is the attachment up off the vertebrae. And as we've seen enough with muscles to know that the attachment points up above to give that anchoring point for that pull. I mean, it's easy to visualize. Maybe not easy to think about, or you wouldn't think about it, but once you can visualize it and understand how simple machines work, but the idea of having an attachment up on the vertebrae as a way to pull, because if you think about it, lifting your knee up, lifting your leg up like that, it's got to have something attached to it above it, just to get it up here. If you think about like raising a flag, you can't do that just by attaching the rope on the pole where you are. That's not obviously not going to raise it. The attachment has to be up above to where you're pulling that up. Also, the attachments to the pelvic girdle, again, to help create that walking motion, that running motion, that lifting motion. Those are all things to think about as we're talking about muscles of the lower limb. Now, sorry you had to see this, but the glutes, as we know, big muscles. I mean, strong muscles. Again, powering that lifting of the leg, providing those attachment points, as you can see there, to the sacrum and to the crest of the pelvic girdle. Again, big, powerful muscles, and this picture is good. The part on the left, below me, on the telescope side, it shows the muscles on the surface, and then below that, on the one on the right, shows the deeper muscles. So each side has both sets, But again, as I mentioned in the beginning, these models are going to be good at showing us the depth of that. And again, you can see the different layers, the different attachment points, and those good strong tendons. You can see the attachments to the top of the femur, that big strong bone, big strong attachments. So you've got attachments to the femur, you've got attachments to the pelvic girdle, you've got attachments to the sacrum, all designed to provide those powerful movements that we need. Because just, lifting yourself, just think about sitting in a chair, okay, and just, maybe you put your hand on the arm for balance, but that drive to get you up out of the chair, and not to mention all the powerful things that people that lift weights and squat and stuff, what they can do with developing the high levels of strength with these muscles. They all begin with these attachment points, okay, that help kind of drive those powerful movements. Okay, and again, just some more reference to these muscles, and the muscle names, we'll deal with those in the lab type settings. So we're not too worried about those here, but we do want to have the notes for test materials. But you can see, 6 muscles that are all part of that, and not only just the strength to get up and down, but just rotating the leg, just moving the leg. If you think about a swimming motion with the legs, just that little kick to move yourself through the water, that would also be driven from these attachment points. So just anything that your leg is going to do from a power standpoint. And we will see in the next video, when we look at the below the knee, the attachments up here at the top down to the feet, just things like pushing on the gas pedal, standing up on your tiptoes to reach something. It's all interconnected as far as the attachment points and the driving points, and that's really the big take home for a lot of this. Okay, so now moving to from the back side, as we were looking at, now to the front. And again, this is the same picture you saw earlier, but again, looking at those attachment points or those muscles that you don't think about. One of the warm-up kind of stretching exercises is to get those muscles on the inside of your thighs, to get those engaged. A lot of times the quick motions, the quick changes of direction, that's not so much front and back of the leg, that's more in the inside and outside. And just from a basketball standpoint, baseball standpoint, football standpoint, just that change of direction, that quick change of direction, it's super important to get these muscles engaged, because if you think about the leg, I mean, all 4, front, back, right, left, they all have different components of the motion process and strength process, and it's just important to make sure they're all engaged in those environments. Okay, and again, here's just a long list of things. Again, just making sure that you have those for testing materials. But again, we've mentioned the components, and we're going to look at a diagram again when we talk the lower part below the knee. We'll again look at one of those diagrams of the compartments. But the thing to think about is the anterior. That's what's going to be in the front posterior would be in the back, and then when we look at the cross section, it's on the bottom, but you're looking at it like you're looking down into your leg. If it was stood upright, then it would be the front. But again, these notes just reference the different layers, different strands of muscle, and it's just important to recognize that your things like your biceps and your quads, these aren't just one big huge muscle. These are varying strands, not only across the top, but also down deep. In our next couple of scenes we're going to be looking at diagrams. Again, the first one will be actual muscle, so on a corpse, and then the last one will be again another diagram. Alright, so here obviously is a human muscle, and again you can see the knee down there towards the bottom of the patella, but then again looking at the muscle strands, and again all that white tendon there and muscles down along the side, and those muscles that we just looked at in the diagram that extend from the inner thigh up to the pelvic girdle, those attachment points. But again, the quadriceps, you can see here, three muscles that kind of make up, one to the left, one down the middle, and one to the right. Again, attachment points at different places. So when you lift that knee, in a running motion, in a walking motion, to a lesser degree, that's multiple muscles, multiple attachment points, all designed to create that drive. And for one thing, that's a good thing, because if you think about if your quads just work from one attachment point, I mean, it'd be a huge attachment point. But if you just got one, then every time that you move, all the work was exerted at that one attachment point. You'd be easy to imagine that injuries could evoke from that. Certainly just being tired or sore from working with a point, but when you stretch it out to 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 locations, then that removes some of the stress from each individual spot. And now when you have 4 or 5 attachment points sharing the load, now that's just 20% as compared to the 100%. So it works as an advantage in longevity of muscles, soreness of muscles, and making them more efficient and able to last longer. And here's our last diagram for these, and again showing you the surface and then showing you deeper. Again, the take home is just the multiple muscles, multiple layers that's used. The diagram on the far left is almost all of them, and then what's on the right, or the one closer to me, that's just the quads, those 3 that we just talked about. And then we can see the connection to the knee, that middle quadricep muscle, reaching down to the knee. We're going to see that a lot, those long white tendon sections. We're going to see that a lot below the knee, and we saw that in the hand, and we'll see it again in the feet as well. But those long, strong tendons, because just like when we think about the heart and just how much it has to, how often it has to beat, how long it has to beat, as far as years, you just can't let that wear out. And these strong connection, these tendons, I mean, they have to last you, hopefully, your entire life. So the idea of those needing to be strong is certainly easy to understand. Well, that's our video for muscles of the lower limb, part 1, which covered the upper half above the knee. So when we come back here next time, we'll be talking about muscles of the lower limb, part 2, below the knee. We'll see you then.